Hey y'all,
What's going on, everyone?
I'm Jay,
Now I'm Chris the Bird Nerd.
and we
We are
are
the
the
Bird
Bird
Brains.
Brains. All right, we're back at it again.
Back at it, man. We filmed one last week, didn't we, Jay? Man, it's just
Yeah, we just did one. It's
I
it's
think
a
our
it's a
days have
lot.
been crazy.
Nobody ever told me when I became a parent how tough summer and fall are.
Oh my
When
gosh.
you're a kid, summer's like easy, and when you're a grown up, you're like, what do I do with these kids? And then fall starts, you're like, oh, this is what I do with the kids. A lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And then football's back, and I live in Alabama. And for those of you not in Alabama, and I don't mean soccer, I mean American pigskin football. And it it is religion where I live.
Yes.
Uh, we
Yes.
got I went to the University of Georgia. My wife went to Alabama. We're playing this weekend, and like we don't watch the game together. Like she's going to her parents' house, and if they win, she's spending the night there. Um,
Let's go
so
dogs. That's all I can say.
yeah, go dogs, baby. So we got all that going on, and it's just hard. Like right now, it's where I am. It's after 11 p.m. and we're just now getting to recording. So and
Yeah.
we'll figure it out. But we're again disclaimer: I am not drunk. This is a LaCroix for the camera. So we'll
We
try to get some information out to y'all.
we need to do like Bird Brains After Dark. I mean, that's basically what our podcasts are, is After Dark episodes. So we might have to throw in some cool like that.
Do one with the lights off with like flashlights on our face.
Yeah, there you go.
We could do we'll do it for Halloween. We'll do a Halloween episode and we'll do
I
more
like that.
scary stories or something.
I've been gone the last 2 weeks, and
Hmm.
this week since I've been home, Mikey has been like overly attentive and like wanting attention. Like he's a super chill bird and he'll take all the attention that I'll give him, but he doesn't really necessarily ask for it. And this week he's been like he'll
I
like
missed
jump on
you.
my he'll like jump on my shoulder and like put his head down for me to scratch him, like rubbing my head like, "Hey dude, like I want some attention. Like look at me." I was gonna bring him on the podcast tonight, but I knew we were gonna be a little bit later, and so I was like, I'll have to find another day to do
We'll
it.
do a
So
live one soon.
yeah.
And we'll get Mikey and Einstein involved. But so I had a fun thing happen with Einstein. I think you've seen the Instagram post. So the other day, my wife was out picking up the kids. It was like right before dinner time, and I was like, all right, I'm alone. Bird stuff. So I had Einstein on my shoulder, and I was clipping nesting material for the finches the last round of the year, and um, Einstein's starting to get his. He's been molting for like a month and a half. The molt takes so long on big birds. Every time I go into his cage, there's like huge feathers on the ground. I'm like, where did these even come from? Like, have you not molted through everything already? But he so he's starting to get his flight feathers back, and I got him. He was clipped like pretty heavily. I don't know if he's ever not been clipped, but I have noticed the last couple days, like he's got a perch up in my office, and there've been a couple times the last couple weeks, couple times where he was up in my office. I'd go downstairs when the kids get home from school, or whatever, and then I look behind me on the stairs, and Einstein's right there.
Huh.
And I thought he was just crawling down, but now I know he's flying at least a little bit. So
Nice.
yeah, it's kind of scary because I take him outside. So and I'm harness
Yeah.
training him. Shout out Aviator Harness who sent me a free harness. So I'm harness training him, and I'm trying to figure out um, how if I in general I don't like wing clipping, but like I said, he's
Yeah.
18. I don't know if he's ever flown before, but anyway, long story short, my kids had a little like kid-sized soccer ball on the ground, and he was sitting on my shoulder, and he looked over, and I saw he was like looking over there, but I was kind of ignoring it, and then he flew off my shoulder to the soccer
Wow.
ball and started playing with it, but
Huh.
not just with his beak. He kept trying to put his foot on it, and then so I was like, and he's 18. I've only had him for about a year. So I don't know. I have no idea what other life he's lived. So I started playing with him with the soccer ball, and he would hit it back to me. So Einstein
That's awesome.
Einstein plays soccer.
You got to get
Um,
some video of that, man.
yeah, I tried to, and I didn't get the video I posted is the best one I got, but I was too busy being like, this is so cool to like film it
That's that's really
for a
cool.
minute. So I think I'm gonna try to find some like ping pong ballish. Maybe I'll ask
Yeah.
our sponsor if they have like a sports package toy or something.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
But I'm gonna get him some little mini like bird size, like ping pong ball size balls and see like it's like little Easter eggs. Like he's really starting to open up to me and get a lot more comfortable with me the last like 3 months, I'd say. It takes a while to win over, a bird like that. And
Yeah.
so now it's like, what else do you know how to do? I gotta like show him other things and see what he does.
Pretty soon
Yeah.
you're gonna come into the cage and he's gonna have a rabbit sitting at the bottom of it. Like, what are
Yeah.
you pulling rabbits out of, man?
Yeah. Yeah. He's full of surprises, old Einstein. He's gained a bunch of weight. He's back above 300
Oh, that's
grams.
awesome,
So
man. That's good.
I'm pretty psyched. He's doing great. He's molting.
Love
He
to
looks
hear that.
great. Yeah, it's really fun. So,
Nice.
what are we going to talk about today, Chris?
Yeah, so we wanted to hit, and this will probably be a quick video, but we just wanted to make sure that you guys are clicked in to different resources and forums throughout the world, really, of to get bird information and how to clip into other bird breeders and things like that. And so just wanted to do a quick video helping people know where to go and where to find different groups of bird breeders throughout the world and be able to be more connected.
Yeah, so almost like the do your homework episode, but a little more specific to
Yeah,
talking to other bird people and finding resources and then like evaluating those resources.
right. Yep.
Mhm. All right, before we get into it, got to thank our sponsor. And we have a meeting coming up soon about the Bird Brains
Bird Brains
box,
box. I am
which say
so
that five
excited for
times
this, Jay.
fast. Oh, yeah, I'm a little kid excited.
Um,
It's, I'm assuming we're getting one to play with.
yeah,
So I'm excited to see it. This is really my first time ever like having a say in the product.
yeah.
So pretty excited for that. And
And just
then,
real quick, Jay,
yeah,
I've been looking at their other perch boxes that they've had already available on their website.
and our
If I have,
sponsor is New Zealand, by the way. We haven't said the
yes,
words yet. New
yeah,
Zealand. Yeah.
yeah. So if you guys haven't yet, go into newzealand.com, click on Perchville. If you just scroll down, it's the first tab. Click on that, and it takes you to a whole new world. They've got nutritional items, they've got toy items, they have this Perch Box subscription, which, like Jay said, we're trying to get the Bird Brains box to come out here pretty soon. And you get to choose different items that would come in that box that are specific to your bird's needs. So there's kind of a range, and you can kind of select what you would like to receive in these boxes. So I'm really excited. I know we're the Bird Brains box. We're tailoring a little bit more specific to the finch world. Maybe your smaller parakeets like your Borks and your splendid parakeets, cockatiels. So I'm really excited and hope that you guys go in and check it out if you already haven't, because it's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, they're great. They've been great to us so far. We're having a blast. Those of you that have gone on and used the code BirdBrains for 10% off, thank you. I get a
Yeah,
lot of messages like this that say like, oh, I'm waiting to restock. I just bought 100 pounds of this or whatever. So just so you're tracking, and we have nutrition episodes you should go listen to, but if you're changing a bird's food, you don't want to do that overnight. You want to mix them in and merge them. So just because you
yeah,
already have some, you're going to switch to this new good food, mix them, and gradually move the birds over. Imagine like if you grew up in Canada and you were used to the Canadian diet, and then all of a sudden you
right.
move to Australia, like the food is different. It's going to mess up your stomach. So, ease your birds through that transition. That you don't
Yeah.
want that to be like an overnight deal. Um, so yeah, as far as I guess I'll start with this. I had somebody the other day in one of the online forums I'm going to mention. It's Finches Only on Facebook, which is a
Hmm.
huge group. There's thousands of members, lots of advice.
Yep.
The Somebody said, "Hey, I just bought two new zebra finches. What do I do?" Basically, which uh, I don't want to be like a Debbie Downer or like sound like a jerk, but like please ask that question before you get the birds. Um, and if you didn't do that, like I didn't, I guess I did read books before I got them, but do more research than you think you should before you dive in with living things in general.
Yeah.
But the we had a listener, Kelsey, who's actually she lives in Spain, but she's Scottish, so figure that out. But when she first messaged me, I was like making sure she understood English. She's like, actually, I'm from Scotland. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, you're good on English. So, um, and she suggested the podcast. So, like, thank you, Kelsey. Shout out, really appreciate that. But
Yeah.
um, we shouldn't be your only source of information, especially because we haven't covered everything yet, right? Or
Yeah.
even close to everything. So, ask us questions. We're here to help. We all want to help, but there are other, if you have something specific that we haven't answered yet, or you can't find our episode or whatever, there are lots of things, and you maybe don't have time for a 40-minute podcast real quick. There are other places to go. And then there's other cool things to do, like bird shows, which neither of us really do, but they are cool.
I
There's
love bird
bird,
shows. Yeah. I wish I had
yeah,
more of them.
there's bird clubs,
Hmm.
like local bird clubs. There's the South Alabama Cage Bird Society member. There's national bird clubs. The National Finch and Softbill Society in the States is really good, and I know like Australia has their version of that.
Yep.
Um, there's all kinds of stuff like that. And then there are Facebook groups, Reddit threads, all kinds of things like that, or Reddit groups or whatever they call them, topics,
Yeah.
and all kinds of stuff. The only, and there's a few that, and then there's a few websites out there. A lot of them are old, because now most people use those forums and things like that. But there are
Hmm.
some old websites, like finchinfo.com is a great one.
Yep.
Some of the information's a little bit outdated or a little bit different than what I would say, but as a general rule, they have like a species profile section
Yep.
that's super solid, pretty much,
One
and they have
one of
a
the
compatibility chart that's great too.
Yeah, one of the old websites, and I still go to it from time to time, that has really great zebra finch info is from Gary Landry. He does
Hmm. Hmm.
a lot of specific zebra finch and button quail genetics, and has some pretty good detailed information on how the genetics work in zebra finches. So a lot of my learning of that came from that website too. And it's a little bit older, but I think the information he has on there is still relevant when it comes to genetics and things like that. So I thought that was a great resource too.
Yeah, and older information that's correct is still good. I mean, I have this old book that belonged to my grandfather about keeping aquariums. It's from like the 30s, and about saltwater aquariums, and there's no talk about filters at all or
Hmm,
water changes. And it's just like,
nice.
and then your fish die and you get more fish. I'm like, what? So so don't go too far back,
Yeah.
but don't be like, yeah. So then go out in the Australian outback and grab you some zebra or some Gouldian finches. But anything that is on the internet is probably not too dated.
Yeah, and I
And
think the good thing that we have now, Jay, is if you want a specific, whether it's a Facebook forum or group or a few of the other forums out there, I mean, all you got to do is type in specific zebra finch groups into Facebook, and you'll have probably
15,
a hundred
yeah,
different groups that pop up. And I think just what you said, Jay, it's good to click on those. It brings awareness. You can share information. I think also there's time. You also have to understand that a lot of those groups, within Facebook, a lot of those breeders are amateurs as well. So, um, and I think we've mentioned this in other podcasts. Get multiple sources on whatever you're trying to discover or read or find out before you make the decision, right? Because you're probably going to get a lot of different opinions on why your bird's eye is infected, and you put that on a forum, and someone could give you some
you'll
crazy
get
thing of
six comments with six
put
answers.
yeah, put your children's eye drops in there and it'll fix it, and and things like that you're probably like, there might be a better answer out there. And so just making sure that these are great forums and groups to collaborate in and get information and share awesome picks back and forth. But also, be wary. Don't take everything as doctrine when someone puts a comment down there to answer one of your questions, or vice versa. Keep that open mind as far as multiple resources and trying to find a collaborative answer for some of these things.
Yeah, and like I'll give you one example. So r/budgies on Reddit is massive. There's like 45 or 60,000 people in there. But they have only a couple moderators, right? And then there's a lot of groupthink happening, which Reddit is in particular. One of the things I don't like about Reddit is groupthink is sometimes really good, sometimes really bad. And
Right.
if an opinion takes hold based on nothing, people will start to preach it as gospel to the point where, like, so I got a 30-day ban from r/budgies for saying that budgies diet should be primarily seed. And like, you know who else says that? Like God, right? Nature says that. So they're like, well, we all know that like budgies diet should be primarily fresh vegetables. And I'm like, based on what?
Yeah.
If you look at what budgies eat in the wild, guess what? It's not a lot of fresh vegetables. They're a seed-eating parakeet. Parakeet literally means long-tailed parrot that eats seeds. Everyone thinks it means a small parrot. It doesn't. Indian ringnecks are pretty big. They're a parakeet because they have a long tail and they're a seed-eating bird.
Yeah.
So the just because even a lot of people say it doesn't necessarily mean it's right.
Right.
Big things I look for are peer-reviewed DVM vet papers. So like when my bird had the broken leg, my mass grass finch a few weeks ago, I found a splinting guide written by two vets. It's like, okay, this is probably pretty good information. It's
Yeah.
relatively recently published. The veterinarians, it's peer reviewed, it's published in a veterinary journal. That's good information.
Yeah.
Steve down the street, who owns three budgies, he might have been keeping budgies for a long time. He might have been keeping budgies for a long time wrong. And like, I'm not saying everything I do is perfect. There's stuff that I did 5 years ago that I would kill myself for doing it now.
Yeah.
So a lot of this is there's some trial and error, there's some figuring it out. There's also an element of each individual bird does things a little bit differently. We talked about in the nest checks episode, some starfinches, they don't care at all. Some starfinches, if you look at them while they're on the nest, they'll just abandon the nest.
Yeah. Yep.
So not everything is a good hard and fast rule. Um, so, it's the internet, right?
Yeah.
Don't believe everything you read on the internet. Healthy skepticism, but there are some good places. I mentioned some groups, Chris. Do you have some other ones you like?
Yeah. I think. I mean, first of all, I'll say majority of the birds that I've shipped out this year to individuals in the U.S. have come from different Facebook forum groups
It's
that
a
I had
good
joined,
place
and
to find birds.
and people put in there, hey, I'm looking for a bork, or I'm looking for this type of zebra finch, and I drop in the comments, hey, I've got some available. If you're in the U.S., let's talk, and um, so so that's a great resource for at least connecting and branching out to other breeders within the United States or throughout the world, because Facebook is a global platform. I would also caution to be wary. There are scammers that go on it, and I
We found
legit.
one last week.
Yep,
Yeah.
I had one last week that I was looking at, and I kicked it over to Jay, and I was like, "What are your thoughts, man?" And he was able to help me debunk it pretty quickly, and we told the person.
Tell the story because it's funny. How did I know they were fake?
Because they were the pictures from Paradise Aviary's cages and birds
Yeah,
from
and
a different breeder in the U.S. and the what was it that the
the
cages were all
blueface.
different?
Yeah, no pictures in the same cage. So they had like 30 pictures that only existed since middle of July. They had like 30 pictures of all these different birds they had for sale, but they were none in the same cage, which like I mean I have like 10 different cages, but they all kind of look the same and like
Yeah,
only have like 10. This guy's got 30 pictures and it's 30 different cages and then but the funniest part, so the very last picture on his page, the very first one he posted was a picture from Rancel at Paradise Aviary and I had some of the birds in the picture.
Oh, that's right. You had the same
Yeah,
band as you.
yeah.
That's right.
So I was like, I know this guy's fake, and here's how I definitely know. It's because I used to own that bird, and
Yeah,
that guy doesn't have it. Yeah. So,
yeah.
um,
Well,
so
and what tipped the scale on that one, Jay, is, I've been reaching out to him Monday through Thursday, just to see and just asking different questions to try and see what he knew. And his answer was, "Hey, if you pay me, I'll ship the birds tomorrow," which would be Friday. And if anybody has ever shipped birds before, you don't ship birds on Friday because then they sit over the weekend in some post office, or in a place
maybe,
that maybe,
yeah.
right? And you just prolong their time that's in a box, and it's just not good husbandry and not good practice at all. And so that right there, I was like, okay, even if you aren't a scammer, I don't want birds from you if you're willing to ship them on a Friday, because your chances of that bird dying over the weekend triple, because they're extended period in that box. But anyways, yeah. So beware of scammers. But Facebook, I feel like, is a great platform to branch out, broaden your horizons as far as connecting with other bird breeders and different species. Um, when I first got into birds, Jay, well, not when I first got into birds, but in my adult life, when I was starting to get serious about it, I joined a group. It was called the Finch Forum. I don't know if
Hmm.
you've ever joined that one.
It still exists. Yeah, I never
Is
joined, but
it?
I've read a lot of it. Yeah.
It was a pretty good hot forum when I was first getting into it, because a lot of the bird groups that exist now on Facebook and Instagram and things like that weren't available back then. So that was kind of one of the main platforms. That was really great. I was a member there. I mean, I still am a member, but I haven't gone on there for several years now. But had a lot of good basic information of, like, true, honest people, searching for birds or asking questions on birds, and they had quite a few different nutritional and breeding and husbandry, um, what are they called, papers or scholars, that they've
Hmm.
written, a bunch of stuff on. So that was really good. Um, Kind of what you said as well, Jay. What I had down, a lot of the national groups and forums. I haven't joined any of them. I know you're a part of a couple, aren't you, Jay?
So
Um,
I, yeah, to the advocacy group. So I'm a member of OPA and AFA,
yeah,
which is the Organization of Professional Aviculturists and the American Federation of Aviculture, which either is about to or just did have their annual conference, and they do 1 year East Coast, 1 year middle of the country, 1 year West Coast. Like last year was in Texas, I was able to go because it's pretty close. This year's in Costa Mesa, California, and I can't make it. I'm sad I can't make it, but I can't
yeah,
take a week off to go to California. But um, and like AFA is, and there's also the ASA, American Society of Aviculture. They're all great. There's not
yeah,
one that I'm like, don't join that one. They're all wonderful, super nice people. I went into AFA as my first AFA last year, really not knowing what to expect, and was sad to leave.
yeah,
Had a great time if you ever get a chance. But even if you just join, another huge benefit of those organizations is like disaster support. Like I know we're having a hurricane hit Florida as we record this, or in the next couple days.
yeah,
Prayers out to y'all down there. Hope everybody stays safe and hope your birds stay safe.
yeah.
Um, but so they'll do stuff like there was a bird breeder in Tampa a few years ago that got really whacked by a hurricane, and their aviary, they got their birds out, but the aviary got crushed. They had like a big breeding aviary with multiple aviaries. And
Wow.
like so AFA raised a bunch of money and they got
Oh,
new
cool.
aviaries. So stuff
Very
like
cool.
that. And then they also do legal like lobbying and advocacy. So um, I got to be in the room and have some of the discussions about this, but like when the USDA came out with the new rules, um, which is a PETA lawsuit and a whole nother thing. PETA wants no pets of any kind.
Yeah,
So that's their actual goal. They won't say that, but that's their actual goal. And so they sued USDA and forced them to regulate birds. And so AFA and OPA worked with USDA to come up with rules that, like, while I hate any kind of rules beyond basic animal welfare rules, the rules are actually pretty good.
yeah,
Could have been way worse.
yeah,
Um, So those things, whether you join or not, they're advocating for you. But I would encourage you. I think a basic membership in AFA is like $20 or $40. It's not a
Yeah.
huge amount of money, and you get their magazine, the Watchbird AFA's
Hmm.
magazine that has like it'll have a couple cool articles in it. It has ads and things that'll help you, and then they have local coordinators. So like each state or region has like a head person, so you
Yeah.
can reach out to them. All great resources. The deeper I get into like that part of the bird world and not just like me and my own little birds in my own backyard, the more I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Obviously this connection, this I've got friends all over the world now because of birds and the internet, and you get to see like Torben over in I think he's in Denmark. He's got like what would be wild here cardinals, like northern cardinals that are
Hmm.
illegal to own in the United States, but they're legal to own in Europe because they're an exotic bird in Europe.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, just to see all kinds of cool stuff. Like somebody sent me a picture the other day, a video the other day of a small finch in Australia that is like orange with all these white spots. I don't even know the name of it. It's an insectivore species, but
Hmm.
like they're not in aviculture. So and they're when would I ever see that bird, right? So super cool stuff
That's
um,
awesome.
that you can find through these groups and making friends and stuff like that. And one thing I always love to do is compare prices. See like do like the conversion. Like okay, it's 100 Australian. How much is that in the U.S.? It's like oh man. So like one of the funniest things is like so I was talking to Tony Arnold and like I've got two pairs of orange-cheeked waxbills. He's like, man, I'd love to work with those someday. And like Tony Arnold has like hundreds of birds, huge aviaries, one of the best
Uh-huh.
finch keepers in the world. And I was like, you don't have orange cheek waxbills? He's like, nah, mate, they're $2,000 a pair here, and that's if
Oh
you
my
can find them.
gosh.
I was like, man, mine are $40 a pair. Like what?
Uh-huh.
So it's just cool to see like different stuff around the world, and then like you know. Like I same guy Tony. I asked him why didn't he have zebra finches, and he's like, they're in me backyard. It's like, oh, duh, yeah, that makes sense.
And
So
and I'd probably
yeah,
say too, Jay, probably the last thing I'd say is, especially if you're newer to birds, look and see if you guys have any local or state bird clubs. Most states in the United States have some sort of a like a state club that may not some may be specific to a certain species, others are birds in general. Like Utah has like a canary specific club, they have a finch specific club. I haven't joined any of them because I can barely have enough time to make these videos, but that's a goal of mine down the road. Is I do want to join those. I have gone to some of the bird shows that they have. Every once in a while they'll have a bird show, and it's fun and it's great to connect with the local bird breeders that we have around here, and it has gotten to help me build that web of connections close by, and not across the world where they're great relationships, but maybe you don't have as good of a chance of getting birds from them, right? Because you have to ship them or they're from other countries and things like that. So, yeah, look into if you guys have any local clubs or state clubs of any birds, and that's a good place to start too if you're trying to find some good local connections. And then I would say, your Facebook pages that, I mean, you could type in any bird and there's probably a Facebook group for it,
hmm
right? You just type it in and it'll pull up all those groups to join and whatnot. And so there's lots of resources out there. We want you guys to be as connected and resourceful as you can. If you can't find anything and you have questions, reach out to us. Drop some comments down below. Let us know. More than likely, Jay or I could point you in the right direction and get you with whether it's a club or a contact that has those types of birds or species that you're looking for. So,
Yeah, and if we don't know, like I'm not gonna make it up. If you
right,
somebody
absolutely.
calls me tomorrow and says like, "Hey, I've got this owl. What do you think?" I'm gonna be like, "I think I don't know anything about owls. I know just enough about owls to be dangerous."
Yeah.
I did
They
rescue
eat
an
my
owl
birds.
once.
That's all I know.
Right. I did rescue one that got hit by a car in high school, and that's how I found out owls have this giant owl-specific tick that's like the size of a cockroach that can fly. And it's a whole long story, but I was on the way to a house party in high school, saw this owl get hit by a car, like saw it happen, stopped, picked up the owl, put it in a box that I happen to have in my truck, brought it with me to the house party, like put it in a quiet room, and then at one point like got it out to check on it or open the thing, and I guess I must have put on like a oven mitt or something, got it out to check on it, and then this big thing flew off of it, and I was like, oh, what is that? And then I took it to the animal hospital where I worked the next day, and then eventually to a rehabilitation center, Bernard the Barred Owl, and then the vet was like, "Oh yeah, man, I hope you didn't have this in your house. They have these flying ticks." And I was like, "Definitely released a flying tick at this house party." But like just didn't tell anyone. I was like, "Oh, my bad."
You weren't
Uh
ever invited back. That's probably the reason why.
yeah, I'm not sure I even knew the owner of the house. I was like, "Oops, my bad. Sorry." And like it makes me laugh because like, you have like a party in high school or whatever when your parents are
Yeah.
out of town, and then you try to clean up the house and everything and like not get caught. It's like, what's that flying thing in there? Oops. But yeah, so if we don't know, we'll help you figure it out, right? There's
Yeah,
plenty of
for sure.
times I've gotten a message on some of the social medias and been like, "Oh, you asked me something new," and then I like that because then now I know, right?
Yeah,
So even though I didn't have that problem or have that question, we figured it out together. Cool, we've got the answer.
right.
So join your local club or reach out, make local bird friends and national bird friends and
Yeah,
international bird friends. Healthy skepticism of what you read on the internet, right?
yeah, yeah,
And, enjoy your birds.
yeah.
Um, they're a lot of
And,
fun.
and enjoy them and share them on those platforms so others can
Mhm.
enjoy them. That's probably I had a little bit of time in between work meetings, and I worked from home today. And my wife came in. She's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm looking at all the bird pictures on Facebook because some of them are really cool that people post and share, and I love seeing them." So yeah, share your birds too. I think that's part of the fun is seeing everyone's birds and different setups and making those connections that way as well.
And I think people might get scared, like, oh, if I post and I'm doing something wrong, like people will be mean to me or whatever. In my experience, that's not been the case. And
Yeah.
wouldn't you rather know? Wouldn't you rather have somebody say, "Hey, cool birds noticed X," right? Or noticed
Uh-huh.
Y, and then you can fix it, right? So, I
Yeah.
mean, it's a great tool for helping us all navigate this together.
Yeah. I
Uh,
agree.
if they if they have a bird question that you can or cannot solve, Chris, where can they find you?
Yeah, reach out to me on Facebook or Instagram at Bird Nerd. Instagram's Bird Nerd 4, and then Facebook and YouTube is just Bird Nerd. Same logo, same name design, everything just has that 4 on the back of at the end of the Instagram one. So yeah, reach out to me, PM me. Had I've had several new people these last couple of weeks reach out looking for birds or just asking questions in general about birds. And I love that. That's probably my favorite thing to do is to answer you guys' questions and help out where I can. If not, I'll kick you guys over to Jay and he can answer the questions that I can't. So, Jay, how can they reach you?
I'm on similar thing, same logo, but it's all some version of the Javiary or the underscore Javiary. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, YouTube, obviously, and then Threads, which sucks, but I'm on there. Uh, so yeah, I mean, there's been plenty of times too where like somebody's reached out to me, "Hey, I'm looking for Borks." Okay, I don't have any Borks. Call Chris, right, or whatever.
Yeah,
So we if you haven't reached out yet because you're nervous or whatever, I promise we don't bite. We want to help. If we can't help you, we'll find you someone that can. We have a lot of great resources and a lot of connections we can help with. Um, Big shout out to New Zealand. Use code
yes,
BirdBrains, 10% off. Be on the lookout for the perch box. We'll probably do an unboxing episode, I would assume, right?
yeah, absolutely, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So very excited about that. Thanks y'all for listening, and we should be back to our regular two
Yes,
episodes a week schedule here. At least if not this week, then next week.
I was gonna say yeah, here pretty soon, if not this week. So,
Yeah, we're
okay,
dealing with it all. And again, if you're in Florida and you're getting hit by a hurricane, we're thinking
yep,
about y'all. If you need help,
thoughts and
give us
prayers your way.
if you need bird help, give us a shout. We'll do what we can to help you. Hopefully you're safe and your birds are safe.
Absolutely.
All right, that's it. Thanks y'all for following along. Catch you in
Thanks,
the next
guys.
one.
We'll see you.